Yo, it's me, Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Suspect by Robert Crais. Robert Crais or Robert Crais, I can't remember how to pronounce it. I don't know. I do have every single Robert Crais book in my collection over here. You can see them right there. Several of them signed. Usually I show my signed ones, but I didn't want to dig them out this time. Now, Robert Crais is one of my favorite writers. He writes the Elvis Cole and Joe Pike series of mystery novels set in Los Angeles. One of my favorite series. You've seen, I've probably reviewed 5 or 6 of those books on my channel. This book is not part of that series. In fact, this is a standalone novel, so I thought I would give it a shot and read this one. Let's talk about the cover first. You know I love graphic design and cover illustration, so we always review those. So this is a typical Robert Crais book. It's got his name big, bold, and right up front. It's got the title, and then it's got a picture of a cityscape with the silhouette of a doggy, and then, the spine, and then the back cover. There's a sharp-looking book, It looks similar to most of the other covers in the Robert Crais collection I've got. So what's it about? Suspect. I'm not sure why they titled it Suspect. For an otherwise dynamite novel that really gripped me, I think the title is a little bland. I don't know what I would have titled it though. I mean, I have no answers for the problem. Usually, if you pose a problem, you should come with at least 3 answers. I've got none. Maybe call it Maggie. Maggie's the main character. I don't know. Maybe call it Military Working Dog number T415. I don't know. Because that's what the book is about. So Corporal Pete Gibbs is one of those guys in Afghanistan that works to dismantle bombs. And he's got this dog, a German Shepherd, an 85-pound German Shepherd, whose name is Military Working Dog number T415. And that number is tattooed inside of the dog's left ear, but the dog is otherwise known as Maggie. And they are in Afghanistan on their 3rd tour of duty in Al-Jabbar province, Afghanistan. And they're looking for explosives, IEDs, and that's what they do. And the dog can sniff them out. And the opening chapter is told from the dog's perspective. In fact, many of the chapters are told from the dog's perspective. And I thought that was great. I remember when I read Cujo, a lot of that was told from the dog's perspective. And it was awesome. Now that dog was demented as whereas Maggie is a good little girl. She's a good girl. And she sniffs for the IEDs. And it's interesting the way Robert Crais writes the chapters from the dog's perspective. It's brilliant, and it's done realistically. I mean, it's done about as best as you could pull something like that off. Writing from a dog's perspective. I mean, she talks about the scent of the bombs, and she doesn't know they're bombs, clearly, but she knows that that's what her master, Corporal Pete Gibbs, wants her to find. If I find the little things that have this scent, he will reward me with, he'll play ball with me, he'll give me treats, he's part of my pack. This is my job in the pack, is to sniff for this, and then I get rewarded, yada, yada, yada. She does know that she's in a war zone. She can smell the death. She knows when people are dying. She knows when people have cancer. She knows when people have heart conditions. She's just a very smart dog. And she finds long story short, things happen. Her master is killed in war. She sees it. She tries to protect him. She is taken back to the United States. She is suffering from PTSD. She's not the same good little girl that she used to be. Now we jump to the chapters told from Scott James' perspective. He is an LAPD police officer, 32 years old, 7 years on the job. He is out with his partner Stephanie Anders, and they get ambushed. Anders is killed. The ambush is written very well, very gripping. Scott is also shot. He ends up in the hospital with PTSD and injuries of his own. And this is where the two characters meet. Scott meets Maggie. They come together. At first, Maggie doesn't like anybody or anything, including Scott. She's very vicious, very suspect. She's suffering. I mean, she wishes, from her perspective, which we get to see her perspective, she still loves her old master, Pete Gibbs, that was killed and she knows that she's come to the conclusion in her head that she was in a war, he was killed. She doesn't trust any humans except for that guy. And then she's got this new owner, Scott. Now, this setup is not new. This is not unique. There are many books and movies that have been written with this very setup. A military dog or a canine unit dog suffers tragedy, loses its master, goes through heartbreak. Somebody else takes this dog under control. This wild, out of control dog that it can't be tamed anymore. And we get to see the relationship grow and build, and it's very heartfelt and all that. It's a very sort of cliche setup for a book. The difference with this one is, and I don't know if it's different, it might follow all those cliches beat for beat. I don't know. I haven't seen all of those movies. I haven't read all of those books. But I do know that this one is, if you have a soft spot for animals and you have a hard time watching any movie or read any book that has an animal as a main character, this book is either going to be hard for you or you're going to love it. I don't know how to predict you. People that have these animal things where you just can't watch anything with an animal in it because you're afraid the animal will die. I don't understand. I understand, but I don't. I mean, I understand why you don't want to read about that, but I also read about everything. So I don't, I'm just saying, trigger warning. That's my long version of a trigger warning, okay? Because I'm not going to give away if our guy Scott or if our dog Maggie dies at the end of this, but I will say they go through some adventures, and they go and just the way that they slowly start to trust each other, and that the way that Maggie slowly starts to trust this new master, it's absolutely wonderfully written, perfectly written. It's just on point. I actually followed it really carefully because I loved the relationship that was building between these two damaged characters. And the main plot is, we haven't even got to that, but the main plot is Scott, the LAPD guy that got shot, is still investigating the people that shot him, the people that ambushed him and Stephanie. They never caught them, and so he's still investigating that murder that he was very closely involved in. And that's where the story is driving towards with these two characters, the good girl Maggie and our good cop Scott James. And it's a really well told book. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I love the Elvis Cole Joe Pike mysteries. I don't know what I was expecting from a standalone, and it is a standalone. Don't know if he'll do any more with these, or if he can do any more with these characters. Maybe it's a one-off book. Maybe he'll revisit this universe again. If he does or doesn't, it's certainly a book well worth reading, well worth your time, and you will become emotionally invested in this relationship between the dog and the cop. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. I enjoyed this quite a bit.